Hey everyone, Justin here for Future CPU Leaders, and welcome to the latest episode of Right On. So this is going to be the first episode that I recorded since the election, and during the election actually, and I purposefully did this because I was working on a lot of campaigns and doing a lot of the getting to know with the candidates and stuff like that. And I also want to take some time after the election to formulate some thoughts on what's gone on in the election, and obviously what's gone on afterwards, because I personally think that a lot of it's pertained to issues that are extremely important to all Canadians, don't get me wrong, but especially millennial voters, I think, really had a big say in this election. And so I wanted to really take some time and talk to some people and really think about what's gone on. And so, yeah, let's just get right into it. So firstly, we didn't win. And I think that this was most certainly an election where the Liberals could have been got, especially Justin Trudeau. He had the whole blackface thing. But not only that, he just didn't campaign well, in my opinion. He was extremely closed off. It wasn't the Justin Trudeau of 2015 that had a ton of access, and he was almost doing like that John McCain Straight Talk Express type thing where like everyone is going to get access and I'm going to answer all the questions and this and that. He was ducking debates, and he was really acting like a typical politician, which I think the Conservatives really missed out on framing him in that way. But I think one of the biggest problems, obviously the LGBTQ2 thing and abortion was huge, and I think right off the bat, I will say that I am most certainly pro-LGBTQ2, and I'm most certainly pro-choice, and that's where the party is too. And I think that this basically boils down to a huge problem that we faced, in that everyone that follows Canadian politics knows how Andrew Scheer feels about this stuff. This isn't a shock to anyone. So why he didn't come out right off the bat and voice his opinion is extremely confusing to me, and was extremely problematic. I think that the way that he could have ended all of this right off the bat, and it's funny because Michelle Rempel and I were tweeting back and forth with each other over this, and she made such a good point, and I think that it wasn't enough for Andrew Scheer to say the Conservatives won't open up the LGBTQ2 abortion debates. People in those communities want a champion. They want someone that's going to fight for them. They want someone that's got their back. And so it wasn't enough for him to say, by the way, we're just going to leave the status quo. We won't open things up again. They needed someone to say, we got your back, and we're going to fight for things that you believe in. And so I think that that was a huge mistake that really would have ended that debate, and we wouldn't have gotten into all of the stuff about Leader Scheer's religions and things like that, and religious beliefs and all of that. I think that going forward, this has to be something that we address as a party, because the party squarely falls in line with my beliefs in an open Canada that is fine with LGBTQ people and their rights, and I think that not just fine, but like celebrating it, and the diversity that makes Canada great, and a woman's right to choose. Like, I don't think anyone likes abortions, let's be honest. I wish abortions didn't happen. I wish they didn't have to happen. But if they're going to happen, I want them to happen in a safe, clean environment with professionals that a woman has easy access to get one if she chooses to do it. So I think that going down that road would have been a lot easier for the party in general, and we would have been able to kind of cut this off at the chase, because like a lot of people have pointed out, Justin Trudeau in 2012, 2013, I can't remember what the year was, had a similar issue crop up with Dean Del Mastro, where he was questioning his Catholicism or something along those lines. And Justin Trudeau said, I don't like abortion and I'm pro-life, but the Liberals will never open up this debate. And the difference was people believed it. And so we have to take a look at why Canadians don't believe it when Conservatives say it. And we have to make it ingrained in our party that we are pro-LGBTQ too, and we are pro-choice for women. And until we do that, I think that that's just going to be a huge problem for our party, for anyone that doesn't embrace that and doesn't get out in front of it. Not just Andrew Scheer, for anyone. And I think that the party needs to kind of make this ingrained in our culture, so that going forward this doesn't even come up anymore, because it wasn't asked of other leaders. And so I think that we really need to embrace this as something going forward that is just one of our values. And if we don't, I truly think, I haven't seen any stats yet, I don't think there's any out yet, but I think that we're going to see again, we didn't get any sort of headway in the millennial voter turnout, and especially with millennial females, which I think you're going to find the hugest issues for them. I know finding a job and things like that are important to everyone, but you're going to see LGBTQ2 issues, women's right to choose issues, things like that are so important to them. And unless we can do something, millennials and millennial women are just going to be lost us. And we really we need them to win. Don't get me wrong. Of course we need them to win, but we deserve them because we have a party that for the most part believes the way, thinks the way I think. And we've got leaders in this party who think that way. I know Lisa Ray is no longer a member of parliament, but like Michelle Rempel and people like that, we've got a lot of great leaders that fight for these issues regularly. And when it was voted on in Vancouver, it passed overwhelmingly. And so we need to really do a much better job of framing that debate and making our policies known and our hearts known, and not letting the Liberals define who we are as a party, because they basically told everyone who we were, they defined us, and that was the end of it. And then we were just stuck under this rock and did not do a good job of coming out and fighting and saying, no, that is not who we are. We will not let you define who we are. So that was one thing, I think. Another thing, obviously the environment. We really, again, did not do a good job of defining our plan for the environment. We really just went on the attack of the Liberals' plan is bad, which it is bad. There's another article that came out today, which I'll put a link in the bottom comments section, that talks about how the Liberals' plan is one of 3 plans in the G20 that won't even come close to meeting our emissions. So we're one of 3 countries now in the G20 that will not come close to meeting our emissions targets. Even though Canada's emissions are very small, we're still not going to meet our targets, on top of which we're not going to influence any other countries that are the big emitters from doing anything, because we have so little clout now with places like China and India, because Justin Trudeau screwed up so badly that they're not going to listen to us. And not that these countries would listen to us anyway, but we just don't have any clout with them anyway. So I think that overall, we need to, going forward, focus on who we are and what we stand for, as opposed to going on the attack and just saying why Justin Trudeau's bad. Of course you have to do that. You have to frame the narrative in the context of other parties, but we really need to get out there and tell people what we stand for, as opposed to just bashing other plans and making it a bit more positive. So I think that those are a couple things. And then lastly, I think that, and I had to talk about this with many people, I think Andrew Scheer going forward is going to be our leader still. And I'm not going to comment on that, but I do think that if he is the leader, which I think he will be, he really needs to do a better job of defining who he is. I can't tell you how many people came up to me and just said they had no clue about Andrew Scheer, the person, the policies, things like that. And the one thing that I kept coming back to that was just puzzling for me was, why did you not take 6 months? You had a 2-year run-up. Why did you not take 6 months and write a book, or have someone ghost to write a book for you? There's so many reporters that would have done it. And get a book out there, a manifesto, a biography, whatever it is that you want, but get something out there that allows people to see who you are as a human being. Every single leader, if you went to an Indigo, every single leader, Elizabeth May had 2 books, for goodness sake. Trudeau had a ton of books out about him and one by him. Jagmeet Singh had a great book, to be quite honest with you. Anyone that hasn't read it, it's a really good book. The only leader who was absent from this was ours. And I truly think that that was a huge missed opportunity, that we could have really, and an easy one too, that we could have got our leader out there and better known to people, that even if it changed a few thousand voters' minds here or there, chip away. Like these are like things that are important, that you don't know what the ramifications are going to be, or the repercussions of putting a book out there that maybe reaches someone or strikes that right note with someone that can really change people's minds about our leader. So I think that was just a huge mistake in an election that felt like it was just full of mistakes, right, on all parts. And again, like I said, I truly think this was an election that we could have won. And we made some good strides, but a lot of the seats that we won, we were winning back Conservative seats that the Liberals had really no right winning anyway. And I think that unless we start making headway in the 905, 416 is a stretch, but in the 905 suburban city areas, it's going to be so hard for us to form government. We'll form large oppositions, and that's great. We can hold Justin Trudeau's feet to the fire, but it's not gonna amount to anything unless we're forming governments. So I truly think that it can't be for nothing. We have to start winning there. We have to start focusing policies and really hammering home issues that are important, and environment, LGBTQ2, abortion, affordable housing. Those are things that the affordable housing we did well on, but like things like those issues really have to be focused on. And I think that another problem was obviously Quebec. And I know that a lot of people that have a lot more expertise in Quebec politics can speak to this, but the campaign, those issues there are paramount issues in Quebec. And I think that that's obvious to anyone that follows politics. And so us not formulating and fighting for and defining a strong Quebec policy and plan, other than single tax, filing a single tax return and things like that, those are great, but we need visionary plans. We need something that's going to get Quebecers excited, and I think that we just really lack that. And I think that a lot of the Quebec candidates and a lot of the Quebec MPs that are there are going to speak to this more probably, but I think you'll find that a lot of them really are hoping that some changes are made to really shore up Quebec, because again, it's one of those things that unless we can turn Quebec around, we're not going to form government. So those are a few things that I really just wanted to talk about today. I think that going forwards, like I said, we really, I think Andrew Scheer is going to be the leader going forwards. I think that the Peter MacKay thing, whilst it was interesting, I don't think Peter MacKay was making a challenge for leadership. I think he was being honest. I think that this really was an election that we should have won. Justin Trudeau was just making it so easy for us, and I think that we really just didn't take advantage of those opportunities. The blackface stuff was going to play out as it was. We didn't need to hammer that home. We should have just let other people do that for us. And we should have just been hyper focused on running a super tight, super efficient campaign. Great social media, which again, I spoke about this in 2015. It's the same thing. We had so few candidates that were documenting things constantly on social media and constantly tweeting and things like that. We still have so many of our MPs and candidates that didn't even have Twitter accounts. And so these are things that are so easy. We could have had anyone that wants to watch something interesting. I'll put a link again in the comment section. But David Cameron, when he was running for the leadership, he had camera crews following him constantly. They called it Dave TV, and he was hitting every young conservative voting demographic and target that he could. He was going to universities and speaking. We should have had candidates at university conservative clubs and university pubs. We should have been hitting up these things. We should have been on social media like crazy. Our online presence is not where it should be. And if you want a really, really good example of this, take a second and look at the Liberals' website and then look at the Conservative website, and you can make a decision for yourself, but they're not comparable. The Liberals just do a better job with social media and with their online platform, which is where people access news and access information and find out about people. And so unless we're really hammering home these things, online chats and online platforms allowing people to ask questions of our leaders and things like that, I just really think these are opportunities missed that could be so easy for us to shore up, and I hope we do. I don't think the Conservatives want an election anytime soon, because we're not ready for an election right now, because we do have a lot of stuff that we need to shore up. I think that we need to be super aggressive opposition, and that we need to really focus on our issues, but I don't think that going forward just doing things the way that we did is going to be effective. And I think that what we'll see is essentially the same result, or maybe even less, if we run this same campaign. So we really need to learn from our mistakes, and the Conservatives have got John Baird looking into it, who I think is the perfect choice. He is just, in my opinion, you couldn't ask for someone better to be looking into this. And I think that we need to shore up our mistakes, and we need to improve on the things that we need to improve on and fix, and we need to really be honest with ourselves going forward, that acknowledging our leader made a mistake, that we made a mistake in our platform policies and things like that. We can't sit back fat and happy thinking that we did everything right and the country's just not caught up with us yet, but you know what, next election will be different and we'll just run the same. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So unless we can go out there and really reframe our party and reframe the debate, I just don't think that it's going to change. But we can do it. We can make it happen. And I think that going forward, there's some things that are easy to do, and I really hope that as a party we look into it and we focus on these things. There'll be more videos coming up, obviously, like I said, with the election and stuff like that. So keep checking back on the Twitter account. Don't forget to check out our 5 questions with. We've got a lot of really great ones coming up with a lot of new MPs and candidates that won their ridings. And so constantly check the Twitter page and the website for content. The Twitter link will be right up here. And thanks for watching.